Okay, good evening, everyone. Shut up, Siri. This is a caucus of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City. Today is Monday, October 7th in the year 2019. We had a schedule of 5:30 p.m. start. It's 5:44 p.m.
Sorry.
Councilperson Ridley. Brizzeri. Fasciano is here.
He's outside.
Duncan, absent. Solomon.
Here.
Robinson, not yet. Rivera.
Here.
Waterman.
Here.
President.
We just stepped out. Him and Rich, they had to
All right.
discuss something.
Okay. So I see you in the
Okay.
chairperson's seat.
This is all we have
This
here,
is our
so
first.
if it's order, Mike? How's his order? Okay, so planning then, come on.
Plenty only has a few.
Like double as I get here.
I'm serious, get up in here. I'm just a substitute now, so y'all better come on. That's right, move quick, I'm the substitute, you get a lot done. Go ahead, man.
All right, hi everyone. I'm speaking to item 3.5 on the agenda tonight. The ordinance to amend language in chapters 160 and 345 and to revise the fees for demolitions and determinations of significance. We redid that.
That's ordinance 3.5.
3.5, yes. We all know, I'm sorry? 3.5. We all know we replaced Chapter 105, the building demolition ordinance last year. This is sort of a follow-up ordinance to revise some of the language in our fee schedules. Currently in the fee schedules, we process demolitions and determinations of significance as a quote, building age determination letter. That's not reflective of the process we use anymore, so we want to amend that language to be more reflective. Also to include determination of significance as a separate item. We're also looking to increase the fee from $40 to $100. That's reflective of the staff time put into these applications. We have the amount of increase, it's increased by about 198%, the volume of those applications, so we're changing that fee to reflect that. And we're doing that across the 345 chapter, and we're also doing it in 160, which is the fee chapter. Are there any questions?
Any questions? No? Okay. What's the next item? You don't have the list.
Thank you all.
Do you have the list?
No, you have.
Oh, here it is. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know.
Okay. That was Maggie. So, Mallory, you want to come up? Mallory has 3.4 and 3.6.
Okay, so we'll start with 3.4, which are some amendments to the Powerhouse Arts District. This was brought to us by the owner of a particular building within the rehabilitation zone who was approached by someone looking to lease space in the building for a dormitory use, which is not currently a permitted use within the redevelopment plan. So we're here today to propose that that be added as a permitted use to the redevelopment plan, and we've also proposed some kind of operating and design guidelines that would go with the dorm use being fitted out within structures in the rehabilitation zone. Most specifically, Planning Board recommended a floor amendment when they recommended this to you all last Planning Board meeting to specify that a dorm use has to actually be operated and leased by a college or university itself, so it wouldn't just be, you know, students coming in on their own and signing leases. This would actually be one specific designated college or university coming in, leasing out the space, and running it no different than any of their other dorm buildings on a typical campus. Are there any questions about this?
Any questions, anyone? Councilman?
Powerhouse neighborhood district explicitly said we're okay with this.
Yes, they were at the meeting at Planning Board last week. They had a couple of questions. A lot of them are things that would be addressed in site plan review as opposed to the amendment, and the floor amendment to specify that a college or university must be the leaseholder and operate the space was at their request.
So in terms of like density or so forth, is that adjust anything in that regard, or?
No, so we don't have a density standard here for this use, so it's something, it would really be very dependent on how many floors the occupant would be looking to fit out, so it's something we would address in site plan review, and we would be making sure that they're meeting any like capacity restrictions as far as building code. Yes, it's in the rehabilitation zone.
There's no density limitations currently in the plan?
Well, we aren't proposing any specific to this use. There are, I believe, residential standards here for the art. There's some artist live work studios in this area. So they would be, any density standard would be zone wide. It wouldn't be specific to just the dorm use. So it'd be what already exists and applies to any kind of residential.
Is there a requirement for live work, artist live work?
Let's see, looking through here.
There's a, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a 10% requirement for artists rehab center.
Correct.
And that's at 60 to 80% of the AMI. And then it's supposed to get certified by the board.
Yes, it does get certified by the board.
And that still exists, and there's no
Yes, there's no alteration to the artist.
dilution?
Nope.
Can I just get the language on that for the art
Yeah, sure.
requirements? I'm assuming it's in some of the notes, the no change section.
Yes, yeah, I can forward that. Any other
Anyone else
questions?
have questions?
Okay.
Is there someone here on behalf of the,
There's some representation from the owner of the building who had petitioned this at planning board.
My office represents the owner of 150 Bay Street. If there are any questions, any particular questions?
Robert, why don't you come up so we can capture you on film, make you as famous as your wife?
Robert Bertobello from Howell, the owner of the building. So really, the inception of this was to just give an extra ability to rehab the building. Is really the idea here, not to change any of the standards. And the dormitory use is compatible with the work-live and artist work-live uses that are already permitted in the building.
any other questions? Nothing? Thank you. Thank you, Gene. We have 3.6. 3.6 is an ordinance adopting amendments to the land development ordinance, chapter 345-41A, R2-D, Palisade Avenue District regarding roof deck definitions and setback requirements.
So this zone is fairly new. Many of you are probably familiar with its adoption in 2018. So this is up on Palisade Avenue in the Heights. This specific zone permits up to 5 stories with a series of required setbacks. We have seen, since some applications have come through the door and kind of gone through the review process, there was some issues rising with the kind of unique setbacks of this zone. So I gave you all this kind of graphic cheat sheet. You should have received a copy of that with your proposed ordinance. But basically, the zone requires a 5-foot rear yard setback at the ground floor and then jumps back to a 30-foot rear yard setback on all floors above the ground floor. So it basically allows a little bit more of the ground floor of the site to be built out. And what that has done is actually created a little bit of tension through construction that space, a lot of applicants are looking to use that as a roof deck space. So there's some confusion with the neighborhood group as to whether or not that's actually defined as a space that can be used for roof deck and how big the roof deck can be. So we're just here to kind of clarify, put some standards to that space that are a little bit different than the standards that would exist on the uppermost massing of the building, so another 4 stories up, just so that we're mindful that the interface with the neighbors is a little different when you're only on top of the 1st story as opposed to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th story. So we're just increasing side yard setback requirements for those deck spaces, and it actually gets set based on lot width. So a typical lot that we see in this area would be a 25 by 100 foot lot, and I did a couple of studies and really found that once you pass really a 35-foot lot width is when that roof deck space starts to become so big that it can become quite an event space and really kind of maybe be a little bit noisy and a little disturbing to your neighbors. So at that point, we then require that those decks actually increase the side setback from the building to give a little bit more buffer to adjacent properties. It still yields a decent deck space of a minimum on a 50 by 100 lot, which would be another typical development lot that we see, of about 450 square feet, so still a very usable, enjoyable deck space, and actually maintains and increases the current green roof requirement, so we'll get some more green infrastructure out of this as well. We worked with the Riverview Neighborhood Association to set these recommendations. It was really them who came to us with this concern about the setbacks, so we worked with them and they're in support of this here.
Great. Is Councilman Young?
How does the word D councilperson feel?
Now, Michael, can you know this?
What?
You don't know? I don't know.
We're talking
Okay,
about
fair
all the way
enough.
up Palisade Avenue.
This is us,
from, Highway.
Yes, it's just in the R2D, which just covers Palisade Avenue.
Because D starts at Franklin Street on the other side of the street. Does Michael know about this?
Was he aware?
I believe so. I believe that he was in the original conversations with some of the RNA members, so he should be aware. This has been an ongoing conversation for several months now. So he wasn't like involved as much in the direct recommendations, but the RNA had approached him about some of their concerns with all these roof deck spaces.
If you want to express, you can let him know.
Okay.
It's fine with me. So we don't know if Councilman Young aware of these changes, or?
He's aware of them. The RNA had spoke with him a while ago. I don't know. I can't speak
Well, they
to.
never spoke to me. They never approached me on it. I go all the way up, for almost 3/4 of a mile up Palisade Avenue. And
Okay.
the people down below in Sergeant B. Anthony's group, are they aware of this?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The people in the Sergeant B. Anthony's group, are they aware of this?
So the R2D is within the Riverview Neighborhood Association district. So
Not up to Palisade, not up to the state highway.
the R2D doesn't go to the state highway.
That's what I asked before.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. That's medical and R1. After you get past like me.
All right.
Can we just get a map of the, where the R2D is located? Now, the thing that you said you gave to the council, is that these documents?
Yes, yeah. I can forward electronically a color version. That'll
That'd be
be
great.
easier.
And just for future reference, Brian, in terms of, is John here? No,
No, he's out sick today.
So yes, when they upload, if we can do uploads with color versions,
Yeah.
so that we can see the color version online.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll
I don't know where
forward
it
that.
gets lost in translation. I'm just
Yeah, it's color
bringing it
coded,
to
so
somebody's
I'll send that out.
attention.
Any other questions on that?
No other questions? Thank you, Mallory. Matt, you're up.
Evening. Right. First one is 3.3, ordinance for amendments to the highway mixed-use zone of the Water Street redevelopment plan. There's representative by the petitioner here tonight. Should you have additional questions? This is a relatively straightforward amendment. In our land use definitions, we define 3 restaurants. One is a sit-down restaurant, one is like a sit-down or takeout restaurant, and one is a drive-through restaurant. In this redevelopment plan, we did not permit drive-through restaurants in the high-rise or the mixed-use zone. Sorry, the highway mixed-use zone, which is also designated as high-rise in the plan. And this location is on Route 440. There is still desire for drive-throughs on Route 440, and so petitioner for this property along in that zone asked for restaurant category 3 to be included. That is simply, that's pretty much it.
Do you see Councilman Robinson's?
We want to add a new definition to
President, if I could.
restaurants as defined here, so this wouldn't apply to this one.
No, this is in our LDO.
Yeah, so how would we go about adding a new definition to the LDO?
Oh, it's in our LDO.
No, I'm saying I'm asking it. I'm saying how would we go about it?
It would be an amendment to our definitions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because we have we are calling more bars in downtown, which are like restaurants that turn into nightclubs.
Okay.
And we think that they should be better defined than that.
I would be happy to work with you or anyone else in council about that.
Any questions on this? Your next item?
Okay. 3.7, it's an ordinance of the municipal council adopting amendments to create the adaptive reuse overlay zone G as in Greg in the Morris Canal redevelopment plan. So there's been a church located at 260 Pacific Avenue, rather small church, I believe it was Baptist, or I don't know the denomination at the moment, but it's been on and off for sale for several years, and I've gotten multiple calls, and a person who of what people can do with it, and a owner or contract purchaser, I'm not sure, petitioned to make a change to allow for adaptive reuse. Morris Canal redevelopment plan allows for this throughout the whole neighborhood. It encourages it in several churches and other warehouse buildings. This one is simply adding it to that list. And the representative is here tonight. I did receive an email from them. They've been continuing to speak with neighbors in the community. They believe, and this is how it went through planning board, that the project could achieve 9 units. There's some concern, and they've agreed to make an amendment to this proposal to 7 units. And if the council would feel comfortable with that, I would make that change before Wednesday.
Well, one more time, what was the change?
From 9 units to 7.
From 9 to 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to the Morris Canal today, because I know we had a couple community meetings about this.
Right.
I know at the community meeting, the last meeting, I think it was 7. And did it pass through the plan at 9?
Yes.
What are the sizes of the units? I think that what they were really concerned with more than anything was the size of the unit, making sure that it wouldn't be micro units. But I talked to the president of the Morris Canal today, the director, and she did say that they thought it was 7 units that they were that they had agreed to.
Right. So there's a range. I mean, this is all very preliminary drawings at this moment, because they obviously are looking for this change to happen first before they study it further. But the range is, it looks like it's hovering around 600, 700. There's a small basement studios of 420. This is an existing building, so they're working with a small addition and the existing footprint of the building. But there's a range, so there's 626 I see on these preliminary drawings that they have, 580. So they're they're a good size 1 bedroom.
Because I know, Chuck, we were at the meeting together, right? The Morris Canal, that was a few months ago.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Yeah, it was a long while ago. I remember this, and I remember I asked the neighborhood what else did they want to see, get back to the community, and no one had anything to say, but they did say that they thought it was 7 units that they agreed to, not 9.
It was, what happened at the Morris Canal meeting, it was 9 units, and that's what was proposed at the planning board, and that's what was approved. There were some members that came out for the first time at the planning board meeting and had some concerns about the density, the number of units there. So I've been talking with June Jones and Laverne Washington. A lot of the immediate owners are related to Laverne Washington. So we've been working over the last probably month to see what would be a compromise, and we've compromised on 7. So my client was hoping for 8, and we talked again today. So 7 is what I talked to June and Laverne. And Laverne reached out to the community members as a potential maximum density there. So, and as to the unit sizes, what Matt was reading from was the plan for the 9 units. So now that we reduce it to 7, these units will become bigger. And they're not micro units to begin with, but they will become bigger.
Okay.
So this was a church before?
Yeah, it's a church now. It's still, but it's I think it has like 2 peaks on the side. They wanted to go up in the back 1 level. I mean, like the back, I'm not really sure, remember?
There's going to be a two-story addition in the back.
Right.
This was approved. It's an existing church, and it's kind of a called limbo, as I explained to the planning board, where it's in a residential zone. So you're not allowed to do a multifamily in the church. And I had one client who wanted to knock it down, and planning was like, no, we're not going to support that. So how do we adaptively reuse the church? And that's where we came. We started working on this probably a year and a half ago, and this is how we came to that.
And it was something about squaring off the pit, back off the street, off eye level, I think it was. Is this the same one?
I'm not sure about that.
No.
That's
That was 326 specific.
32. Okay.
But there'll be a restoration of the facade as part of it, so to do all that restoration, that was all taken into account as to really what's the unit count that makes this a feasible project.
Okay, I mean, the community is good with 7, and I think we should be okay with it. I mean, got to talk to the rest of the council, but. Okay.
So I shall send up some changes for 7 to what you have before you for Wednesday
So it's going down to
for your
7?
consideration.
Is that what you're proposing?
Well, yeah, so that's what the community asked for today. They said they thought they approved 7, the not 9, but they said it was at. Did anyone speak out against it at the planning board for 9?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
a few of the community
There was some
members said
concern.
they did, and that's what started our discussion.
Okay, but
Prior to that meeting, nobody had spoken out against the time.
yeah, I spoke to Morris Canal today a few times, back and forth, and they said that they were good with 7.
Okay, so you'll bring back amendments to the council at 7?
Yes, with I'm going to change the attachments to this ordinance.
You also got 3.8 and 3.9.
Misplaced my agenda. Remind me which one's 3.8.
3.8 is the NJCU, I'm sorry, amendment to the NJCU West Campus redevelopment plan.
We're gonna withdraw that at the request of Denise and also the property owners.
Okay.
So we're just gonna wait another meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
Robert, for your
What's being withdrawn?
3.8.
3.8.
Yeah.
So my request is just that we get a financial analysis
Okay.
on this. If we could have that prior to the introduction so that the council can evaluate the. You heard mine. Okay. Thanks.
okay. All right, and NC is 3.9.
Yes.
3.9 is amendments to the neighborhood commercial district zone.
All right, so this is what city planning is going to call corrective zoning measures. There is a number of text amendments here that better define what the intent of this ordinance and the allowable bulk of this ordinance, the NC commercial neighborhood commercial district. I believe I sent colored copies so you can see the amendments easier, just because I think it's very important for council to see those and know that the changes we're looking to do here. Should you wish me to go through it all, I can, but I believe it's most important for me to discuss the real impetus of the changes, which is with regards to the maximum building height. So there previously, I'm going to ask you to look at page 3 first. At the top, it said the permitted height was 4 stories from grade where on-site parking is not required. 5 stories from grade where on-site parking is required, regardless of whether parking levels below, at, or above grade. Minimum floor-to-ceiling height shall be 9 feet for all floors, except those devoted to parking. Maximum floor-to-ceiling height for residential floors shall be 12 feet. So, one thing, there's no maximum floor-to-ceiling height for the ground floor. That's been a problem over the years. Also, 12 feet for residential is rather high. You can build an 8-foot ceiling in residential. So what ended up happening over the years is that there's been 6 stories, 7-story approvals in the NC because of the way that this height language was written. So flipping back to page 2, what has now been done, and we parsed it down to 2 sentences here, is the maximum building height now reads 5 stories and 5 stories and 64 feet for buildings without residential apartments above the ground floor, 5 stories and 55 feet for buildings with residential apartments above the ground floor. So if you think about why we have this differentiation is that commercial heights, like office buildings, usually have higher floor to ceilings. If you think about the building where Ward Bookstore is, the Del Forno office building there, that's a much taller 5-story building than your residential mixed-use building. That is one of the major changes here. And if you wish me to go over some other ones, I'd be happy to do so.
Council members, specific questions on this?
I will say that we worked with multiple neighborhood associations as well as SIDs and tried to get the word out on this and get some feedback, and we did that, incorporated some of these elements, talked through some of the changes, and we believe that there's general support.
Did you guys have a chance to meet with Monticello?
Well, Monticello doesn't have NC zoning.
So they
yeah, we didn't. We focused on places that do have this zoning. So.
Can you provide a map of the NC zones?
Sure. Yes.
Anyone else have questions? We give that color.
The neighborhood associations know that this is coming to council?
Yes. Very much so.
Like citywide neighborhood associations, or?
Downtown knew about it, and the CID knew about it, as well as folks in the Junction area knew that it was coming.
Every area that it affects knows about this.
Excuse me?
Every area that the NC zone affects knew about this.
Yes, I don't know if we did specific outreach to McGinley Square or West Side.
No.
We did not. I will say that.
Can I do some checks?
Yeah.
You're okay?
You okay with
Yeah,
that?
I'm comfortable with it, but some of the feedback that I received and passed on to planning about this was in line with what they want to do. But there was no specific targeted outreach. But I gave comments to them from residents, so I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew? Can't tell what your third item is here. You got 3.1, 3.7?
11. 311?
Oh, 311. 311.
3, 1, 2, and 11.
Look like Bell.
Oh, yeah, 311.
3.1, 3.7, 3.11.
Good evening, Council.
3.7.
Sure, 3.7?
Why do you have 3.7?
3, 1, 3, 2, and 3, 11.
3.2. I'm sorry. It's
3.2.
Doing 3, 2 first.
Sure. No, 3.1. 3.1 first.
3, 1, 3, 2, and 3, 11.
Good evening again, Council. Ordinance 3.1 is an ordinance that would establish the intersection of Crescent Avenue and Astor Place as an always stop intersection. We were able to expedite this ordinance because it is within 500 feet of PS 12.
Any questions on this? Council, next item? 3.2.
3.2 is an ordinance that establishes no parking for certain hours on James Avenue, which is a highly industrialized neighborhood. This would establish no parking for 125 feet on weekdays from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., essentially to allow for oversized vehicles to access a warehouse.
don't know about anybody else, but the Water Street RDP was attached to my 3.2. Yeah, it's not for here. Just, you might want to change that, Robert. I don't think that's supposed to be part of this.
Supposed to be part of Water Street.
Yes. Okay, and then your last item?
311 is an ordinance that establishes 55 new handicap reserved parking spaces. And as we do each time we propose one of these ordinances, I provide an update on the number of spaces that have been removed since our last ordinance. And in this case, we have removed 42 spaces since our last ordinance.
You said you removed 42,
Correct.
and this is adding 55.
Correct.
Is it always a net gain every time we do this?
This is, so I've been probably presenting to council for 2 or so years now. This is the first time where we've had a net gain.
Right.
Great,
First time.
first time, okay.
Well, since I've been
Good to
doing
know.
it.
Any questions on that? No, right?
Is that it, Andrew? That's your last one?
Yes, Council.
Okay. I think I spoke to you today, or Paul? It was you, right?
Me, correct.
4th Street closed, Division Street closed, 7th Street closed, Magnolia and Chestnut closed, Cottage Street closed, Mercedes and Newark. It took me 45 minutes to come down the hill, Andrew. This is absolutely ridiculous, and no way should this have happened, all right? And I don't know who's giving out all these permits to close these streets, but if you saw the horror show downtown today, it was unreal. So who's ever doing it, please go back and tell them to cut the garbage out, all right?
After we spoke, I spoke with the team that's managing the paving program. I think the issue with the vast majority of the closures that were happening at the bottom of the hill were related to the closure of 7th Street off of Newark Avenue. That closure began this morning at 7 a.m. The road was milled. It's being paved tomorrow. It's scheduled to be paved tomorrow, and that work to avoid some of the traffic issues that were experienced this morning is beginning at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Mike went out, I understand, and closed a couple of them down because they had no permits to do what they were doing, all right? And then the other issue, please, the bike lanes. Something has to be done to appease the Coptic Church, St. Aidan's, Hudson Catholic, and the senior citizens and other people, and the people of number 11 school before a child gets killed over there.
So Rich, we have all of those comments from the meeting, those comment cards, compiled all of that, spoke to Councilperson Pizzari as well about this. We'll turn that over. I know Joe's no longer there, but send it over to you, I guess?
I received that this morning from Councilman Boggiano's office.
Yeah, it was sent down today, and, something.
You have the compiled version? With us?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the best thing to do is turn on Facebook, look at the, when Yvonne Walsh is filming, the whole thing, and you got the whole works right there. But,
I think we
and
just
another
go through it methodically, each of the items, and just kind of address them. It should be,
Can you copy me on that?
Yeah, I didn't know I got sent
So
over.
that would be helpful,
So-
yeah.
Well, they said you made it up.
yeah, my office typed it up. So.
You know, they had another funeral, and the funeral hearse had a full block away to carry a casket back. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, so we'll go, as Council President Navarro said, we'll go through each of them.
Andrew, I'm not picking on you.
No.
You know,
But I just want to, that specific issue, we already have a way to mitigate that issue. We're relocating, we're bringing back a bus stop that we had relocated back to its original location, which will be directly in front of St. Aidan's, which should alleviate that issue specifically. You know, I'm sure there's a bunch of different topics that we need to hit, but with that one specifically.
The apps.
And then the traffic backup, I'm at the Broome Street Church at a meeting with people who were complaining the other night. I came around and came down, Highland Avenue, 5 traffic lights to get out and get to the corner. It was all backed up because of the buses, because of the cars. It's asinine, the whole thing. Something has to be done. And the people over there, they're up in arms. All right?
All right, we'll work through it. Thank you.
We're going to work through them.
Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Yes, sir.
John has,
My councilman making every mark? Wow, I'm insulted.
John has 3 resolutions, starting with 10.9, and 10.10, and 10.16.
Right, so we'll start with 10.16. It's the resolution authorizing the month-to-month extension not to exceed 3 months for the contract with Rico for leasing, maintenance, and it's for the 100 black and white copiers throughout the city. So
1016.
we are going to be, currently we're working on bids from RFPs we received from 4 vendors. We're reviewing it with purchasing and the BA at the moment. We expect to award a new contract in November. So right now, we just need a month-to-month extension. We're asking for $20,000, not to exceed $40,000, and this should cover us until 12/31.
Which one are you on now?
10.16.
10, I thought, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Councilman Rivera.
I think, I don't know if we should audit that. I mean, is there a reason why we need all of those copies?
That's a good question. So we're actually, we're in the process of this. We're auditing all of our needs for printers and copiers across the city. We agree with you that that's probably a very high number, and there's some offices that have maybe multiple. But then there are also some other places that don't have anything that works. So we hope that number comes down. Between Department of Administration and Public Works, we're going to do an audit of all the copiers, where they are, who gets them. Also, I think there's another thing to note here. Copiers are on the state contract, and there's always questions about if the state contract is a better deal for the city or for any city. And so we're actually comparing this. We did an RFP for this. And we're comparing the results from the RFP or bid to the state contract to see if actually it's better to do an RFP or the state contract. Just so at least we're going to have one example somewhere to point to make sure that we're not just saying, okay, there's one vendor in the state contract, we're just going to do it just because it's there. We want to make sure we're spending our dollars wisely.
And just to add to that, the personal printers themselves, right, the cartridges are very expensive.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're trying to eliminate too is a lot of the personal printers, because we keep spending money on getting the cartridges. So that would be a nice cost savings. When I was sitting with purchasing today, they're actually going to work out those numbers.
Okay. Any other questions? None? Next item? Which one do you want to go to next?
Let's see.
We have 10.10 and 10.16.
Yeah, 10.10.
Sorry, 10.9 and 10.10.
Yeah, 10.10. So that's a resolution just authorizing the city of Jersey City to enter into indemnification, permitting us to stockpile salt under the North Bay Hudson extension. So it's just basically to get the insurance certificate to them. And this way, salt can get picked up in the middle of the city instead of have to go all the way back to DPW.
Any questions, council members? Okay, hearing none. Next item?
Yeah, so I am doing this in place of Brooks, so I'm just going to go off the information she provided me. So this is a resolution authorizing the city to enter into agreement with LMV Warren Street Holdings.
Which number?
10-9.
10-9.
And it has to do authorizing the Office of Risk Management to issue a certificate of insurance to cover a mural program for the city's public art program. So basically, it's the building owners are working in conjunction with Nimbus to put up a large dance scale mural, and the city's providing the insurance, they're covering all the costs, and the city is only offering in-kind services.
What kind of services? Is this the building where Nimbus is going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that building.
So what is it? You were offering services?
In-kind services.
What does that mean?
You know what?
It means the cherry picker, it means road closures, that.
Yeah, like Public Works people too. So they're going to pay for the paint. I think they're paying for the artist.
Yeah, they're paying for the artist. They're paying for everything. We have to provide insurance.
Yeah.
Since they're, I know we've had some recent questions around murals and how they're chosen, and since they're paying for everything, will the mural be sent to the council person and people in the neighborhood before it goes up?
I gotta be honest, I'm just...
What was the question? I couldn't hear you.
Will the mural, the
We'll get that, we'll get an answer.
To the neighbors before it goes up.
It normally is not.
But this mural is specifically for Nimbus,
Right.
for the dance program.
Yeah, it's out
But
in
everyone
public.
can see it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it normally doesn't go to the public. Because
I
it
know,
goes to
they've
the
been
business.
asking lately.
But they can go to the meetings, the public can't.
Well,
No,
can
I
we-
mean, the public can go to the meetings.
What's the design, do we know?
She said the images of dancers.
Do we have, can you share with us, or?
Don't have that.
Can you share it, though? Can someone share with us?
We'll follow up and see if we can get a rendering and also what the public outreach process is. Typically, though, with murals, there is a public input process. There's an arts advisory board that we're all familiar with. So I am not sure about this specific mural, what's happened yet, but we'll get that info for you.
I just want to share one thing as well. Jersey City has a lot of very good talented artists, and I don't think that we're tapping into the Jersey City artists. You know, we have several. I mean, off the top of my head, we have Cheese, we have Rascals. These are guys that are like amazing artists, and I've not one time seen any of their, you know. So I think that, you know, maybe if you can give that information to Brooke. I mean, have they like looked into our local artists?
Sure. Well, I would recommend setting up a meeting with her.
Well, in all fairness, she does have some.
I'm gonna-
Because I've been told. On fairness, she does have some. Now, what she would do is follow up to see if they're on the list. Because it's open to all artists. They have to, you know, introduce their work, get a part of the program, but it's open to everyone.
Yeah,
And
so-
from that selection, based on the process, that whoever property the mural is going on, they meet with that person, all right? And that person have a lot to do with the selection, to be perfectly honest, because it's his property. That's how that's done. So I'm
I think
going to
we
talk
just-
to her and see. Go ahead.
I think we just need clarification on like what the process is.
Yeah.
I know I've spoken to her before,
Sure.
and she says that they do, you know, send a notice to people within a certain range.
Yeah.
But people are saying that they.
We'll get clarification on what's done here, but also the list of local artists that have also already done murals, because there are quite a few. So we'll get that for you.
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that the property owner is the one who selects the artist. I thought that, you know, we just randomly select the artist.
No, they give them three, they give them a selection.
They give them a
of
selection.
artists,
They
and
take
see the work.
samples of the work and they say, what do you want on your,
Yeah.
And sometimes if there's a neighborhood or block association that's working with the property owner,
Yeah.
they're involved in the process also,
So,
because that's what we
right.
did with one over,
Right.
a couple over by me. So, but, and this isn't a question for you, obviously, but I know that the public, there was a public art commission or public art committee that
Yeah.
used to meet, do you know, are they still meeting?
They meet.
yes, I don't know exactly when their meetings are, but I don't know if this has gone through that either.
I'm gonna find out.
Okay, just maybe, I mean, this would
Yeah.
also help with this process, because,
She posted. But, well, she, to my knowledge, she states it's posted, okay? But I will find out to make sure.
and if it's posted on the city website, then we can direct people to the city website for the schedule, then that way they can be more involved in the process, if they choose.
Are there formal guidelines for this, for mural selection and artists and everything else that goes, whether it's private or public property? Are there,
As far as like what art is chosen?
I mean, just how the process goes with regard to notifying the community?
Yeah, there is.
It's a process.
Are
Yeah,
there formal guidelines? Are
Yeah, there
there,
is a process.
yeah.
can we just get a copy
Yeah,
of those
There is a process,
guidelines?
yeah.
Yep.
Hey, John?
Yes.
The New Jersey Communities Council, 222 West State Street in Trenton, says the money that we're pouring into all these murals is supposed to be used to clean up our streets.
But to my understanding, before we discussed this, that's how the mural program came about, because it was graffiti.
Graffiti's worse than ever.
Well, not all.
Not really.
Not really. I
It's-
can't say that. It's not.
John, it's
I
all
can't say
it's
that.
all over.
I can't say that.
Right, but where murals have been painted, that, you know, and places like, you go through, from Jersey City to Hoboken down New York Avenue, that whole wall that was redone, it no longer gets tagged.
Right,
I mean, it has helped out.
it has.
Go down Broome Street, go down all these side streets and see the graffiti all over the buildings.
I mean, it's up to the owner for us to sit and paint on it. If they want it done, it can be done.
Money was supposed to be used for clean streets.
Well, it's graffiti as well as clean streets. I mean, there's multiple purposes. But to his point, I've also asked in the past to the business administrator for the spend down of the Clean Communities grant for this current fiscal cycle as well as the last cycle, like a detailed, itemized spend down on those grants. I never received that information. We had that when we reauthorized the Clean Communities grant.
Yeah, all right, we'll get that.
Any other questions on this, council members?
Is that a peace sign, Rich, or you got 2 questions?
If there's anything you want to say.
I just emailed. Oh, Brooks. All right, thanks. Just reply if there's anything. Yeah, well, I'll follow up with that. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Doug.
Thank you.
Bernadette and Melissa. Oh, Ed, I didn't sit. I don't have a form for you. So Doug, Bernadette, Melissa, Ed. Sorry, Ed, you're last.
Yeah, they're together. It's
Okay.
the tax software, yeah.
Good evening, council
Doug has
members.
10.11 and 10.22. 10.11 is a resolution authorizing a month-to-month extension not to exceed 3 months, effective on September 16th, of a contract with Amber Air to provide HVAC and boiler maintenance for the Division of Buildings and Street Maintenance.
So this had been on the agenda 2 weeks ago, and I just want to apologize if I wasn't clear in my explanation of it or if I omitted any information. So, I would just revisit if anyone has any questions regarding it. The outline is basically, this is a contract for citywide HVAC and boiler maintenance. It's on a month-to-month renewal. The bid specification has been advertised. It's due on October 17th. So assuming we get responsive and responsible bids, we'll be back with a contract resolution based on that. So this is just a stopgap to get us there.
Which is this one?
16?
10, 11.
11.
So if I recall, I think Councilman is not here, but the reason that council meeting we didn't move forward, he had asked this question around, you were saying you were adamant that you guys were on budget on this one. And then he was like, well, why is this increasing the sum to 110,000?
Yeah.
And what Danny was going to basically explain that to us.
Okay.
He was going to write a response that said, this is why 110,000 given the general budget. And
Okay.
Paul does that happen.
Why is that so high?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
question we were just asking. and
That's a good
great.
point. So we can, well, one of the big clarifications on our end is we're using Amber Air to fix the HVAC at engine 10. Wait, no, it was
yeah,
what firehouse?
Municipal.
Oh, right.
Rescue one.
Municipal.
That's like paying $400,000 a year.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. That's true. But we just want to make sure we don't have to come back again to council for this and get Municipal's boiler and HVAC system fixed so that facility can be operational immediately, short term, for until we can move forward with the new space there.
We're at a time of year when we're checking all the boilers and all the systems, obviously, because the weather is changing. So we wanted to make sure there was sufficient allocation to make sure that if anything came up, we would not have to revisit it.
The Municipal site could be a 5 or 6 figure, well, hopefully not 6, but probably a 5-figure job.
But previously we only spent like $225K.
Yeah, you're right. But this is an unforeseen emergency repair on
You talking about rescue? When you say Municipal, are you talking about rescue?
Yeah, rescue, right. Yeah.
Do we have bids already for those?
No, we don't.
Are we getting bids and do it have to come back in front of us?
Let me check on the timing on that. I'm not sure.
You mean timing or?
Timing on the bids. I don't know where they
But
are.
we are getting bids.
We are. Okay. Oh yeah. Let me get back to you with the timing. I'm not sure where we are, but there is a public process. Yes. You have another question?
I was going to say, so if there is this extra
Yeah.
expense, just understanding, where the money's coming from the budget and
Yeah,
how
sure.
it fits in.
Sure.
And then maybe a little more detail on the expenses, it makes sense.
Okay, yeah. I'll work with the business administrator or fiscal officer. Yeah.
That's the sort of breakdown, and then I don't think it'll be a problem.
The importance of this is a general contract to maintain all the HVAC and boiler facilities in the city. So if anything were to happen, we just need to have this in place. As the business administrator said, there are always unforeseen issues, but as far as the maintenance aspect and the day-to-day repair aspect of it, that is in line with past years.
So do we have a monthly or quarterly breakdown for what we spend? Because I'm assuming HVACs are more, the boilers are more, we spend more in the wintertime. I'm just assuming that because we don't use the boilers in the summer. But
Yeah.
is there a breakdown of the quarterly to say that, or monthly to say in December we spent X amount of dollars compared to July we spend zero because we're not even using the boilers?
Yeah, we could certainly get that for the last couple of years, a month to month.
Or month to month, quarter to quarter, because
Quarterly breakdown. I mean, what tends to happen is, as part of the contract specifications, they're required to do checks every spring and summer to ensure, obviously, climate control, because that's when we need it. We need it in the summertime, we need it in the wintertime. So you tend to identify the issues that are existing during those times of the year. And then from time to time in each of the season, you'll have equipment failures, which are boilers that are no longer, boilers fail, compressors fail, and air conditioning systems.
can we get that before Thursday?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I can get you a month to month of what we spend is not a problem.
Perfect.
Okay?
All right, your next item is 10.22, which is a resolution authorizing the renewal of the open-ended contract with Duncan Hardware for the supply and delivery of plumbing supplies for Division of Buildings and Street Maintenance.
Yeah, this is a renewal of our plumbing supply contract. This was publicly bid. I think this is the second renewal. It's a one-year contract with 2 options to renew, so this is the first option to renew. I believe it may be the last option to renew, but regardless, it's based on a publicly advertised contract, rather a publicly advertised bid specification, and then we receive the bids, and then this is based on the contract price.
And it's a local vendor.
This is for just our day-to-day plumbing supplies, pipes, fittings, water heaters, the stuff we just need to make our plumbing systems go day-to-day.
So the one thing I'll just say on this is the term of the contract, September 14th, starting date. So just have to get these in for the council to approve them before they.
Obviously, yeah, I'm not sure what the hiccup there was in our, usually our fiscal office prepares these resolutions, but, I'll bring it up with Danny. I think there may, in speaking with him informally, I think there might have been a delay with the vendor giving him the required paperwork, which caused the delay. But that's obviously noted, and I'll point that, we'll be cognizant of going forward.
Yeah, as long as, I only raise it because, look, it's a local vendor, so no problem there, but if it was in different circumstances, then obviously the council may want to suggest some other.
Makes sense, yeah, no, that's a good point, and we'll be sure to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Doug.
Doug, hold on. You're handling potholes now, Doug?
I always am.
Well, that's because John told me to drive him crazy. Listen, Doug, do me a favor. Saturday night, we got 10,000 people on Indian Square. And a lot of them were complaining. You guys did, I think Tommy Curtis filled in the holes there.
Okay.
But a lot of that stuff is coming up, and you'll have them dancing in the street there.
This is this weekend for Navratri?
It's coming up again this Friday and Saturday night. We had it last Friday and Saturday night.
All right. I had talked to my supervisor and asked him to go there when we're doing alternate side so we could hit everything, but obviously he can revisit
So
that.
loose, and a couple of the women were complaining about it, all right?
Okay, yeah, we can take care of that.
Thanks, Doug.
Yep. All right, good night, everyone.
Okay. Bernadette and Ed, sorry that you're not here first now. So, they have 10.3, 10.4, 10.23.
10.4.
You want to start at the top, 10.3?
Yes.
Okay, that's authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by Microsystems NJ.com LLC for support of computer hardware and software systems for the Tax Assessment Collection Division.
Yes, so this is when the assessor had his reval. There's 2 companies that do revaluation software. One's Vital and one's Microsystems. And we had a little bit of a misunderstanding about what we were doing. We are in fact. So we stopped paying the one bill and we shouldn't have stopped paying it. And so that's part of the reason for the claim coming back. This has been 6 months in the works. We were having a real hard time getting the paperwork that we're from the vendor that is required in order to move this forward.
This is the resolution 10.3. I think this is the one that addressing the payments for the past bills we have with Microsystems, and the 10.4 is basically addressing the current year. Now, Microsystems basically they have their proprietary program that we use, and they have maintaining hardware. We got 2 CPUs basically located here at City Hall, and we have a server located at the Public Works facility or at the IT division. Basically what they do is anytime we do changes, it goes into this processing unit, and they do the updates. Once they do the updates, when everything is okay, then the information is disseminated to the public through the website, like the njactb.org. So everybody would have access to what the assessor's records are.
Can you give me a little more information about why I guess the bills weren't paid in 2017, and then also why they're legitimate?
The assessor did continue to use the application through that time period.
So we stopped paying the bills, but we kept using the system?
Yes, sir.
Why did we stop paying the bills?
There was a separate bill, yes, there was a separate bill from another company, and we didn't realize that he was continuing to use both systems.
Okay, and now we're only using the one system? We're using both?
No,
One system, just a
just this
Microsystem.
one.
Yes.
We're just using Microsystems now?
Right.
When did we move to just one system?
Microsystem has been serving us for the, I think, since the 1900s, since we moved from what they call the Infocom. That's basically the program we have in the 1980s, and then we've been using Microsystems all along.
Okay, but the
But
other
we used Vital during the reval.
No. The Vital basically is another vendor that was used by the appraisal company who did the reval. We have no contract with the Vital company. It is a contract between Vital Systems and the appraisal company that did our evaluation. I think that's where the confusion
Pay for
arose.
systems? Or?
No, we did not. We did not pay anything to Vital Systems.
So we didn't pay for this bill because we thought the Vital Systems was doing the service? I'm not sure I understand.
My understanding was that they were moving from Microsystems to Vital as part of the revaluation process, and that is not what they were doing.
We only
that's
paid.
where it goes, right.
We were only paying one vendor.
Right. So during the revaluation process, we were actually using both softwares.
Right.
The Vital software as well as the Microsystems software.
Okay.
The Vital information basically that's only for the transfer of the data before we file the books. Vital system is being paid by the vendor who did our evaluation.
So who was accountable for, there were services rendered from January 2017 to December 2018.
We are responsible basically for paying that because
They're
we've
all
been using it.
tax assessment.
No, IT, because the hardware and software are with Bernadette's
The
budget.
bill had been paid out of IT in the past.
It's currently being paid out of IT for this one?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else have questions about that? Okay, 10.23.
Sorry.
Mess, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
But it's the same, it's the software, it's this year, the current. So 10.2 is the prior bill being paid as a claim,
Okay.
and 10.3 is the current year.
So 10.3 and 10.4 is the
Or
past and the
right,
current.
yes,
I'm
correct.
saying moving on to 10.23,
Oh,
which
great.
is
That's just,
contract of Verizon.
I'm done, okay, thank you.
that's just me.
To contract of Verizon Business Network Services, Verizon Select Services for data communication network services under state contract with the Department Division of Information Technology.
Yes, so we are finally moving forward with our new phone system. We actually have already moved the systems at Linden Avenue and Recreation. And we have put in the order for the port to move the systems at the Annex Complex and a couple other places nearby. So by the end of the year, we can only do one group of buildings at a time. Because the city is so large, we're doing this in phases. The first one went quite well. We only had about 2 hours of downtime where things were a little bit intermittent. So by the end of the year, we will have migrated all of the systems onto the new, and we'll be saving the city some significant money. So we need this contract in place. This is for the new services that we're going to be getting from Verizon.
Okay, questions, council? I'll just point out that it's September 1st start date again, so we'll have to get these in before.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bernadette.
Thank you.
Now, not the least. Last one. Mel has 3 resolutions. You want to start somewhere in particular, or?
Let's start with Cultural Affairs. They are 10.7. The resolution authorizing the city to accept a gift of period antiques from George Way to be displayed at the Apple Tree House. This is just part of the ongoing efforts.
Excuse me for interrupting, the council just got a new and improved version, changing the name of your copy, which is so that
Okay.
just changing the name of the entity that gave the gift.
Okay. This is part of the ongoing effort to furnish and program the Apple Tree House. Obviously, it's a big endeavor, but this gift will go a long way to furnishing the facility.
Any questions on this, council members? Okay. Which one do you want to go to next?
Let's go to 1019.
1019 is a resolution ratifying the submission of a grant application and the acceptance of grant funds from cities for financial empowerment funding to support financial empowerment for low and moderate income residents.
So this is a grant application and award for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the Office of Innovation to work with the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund on a financial boot camp. We're in a couple dozen stakeholder representatives come to the Bethune Center and talk us through what they think would be some next steps for us to take regarding youth and financial empowerment. And the $20,000 will be used to take their input and put it into a report that we can present back.
Okay, any questions on this, council members?
When, you said it's something at the Bethune Center?
The convening will be held at the Bethune Center,
When is that?
October 23rd.
It's just a one-day event?
Yep.
And that's the whole 20,000?
The 20,000 is to compile all of the input that the public and the stakeholders give to us to put it into a report.
That's just compiling from one event?
Well, I mean, people may say something like, you should look into how community colleges offset tuition costs. And then we may spend some time hiring researchers to do that, or there may be lots of different things that come up that we haven't thought of. And so the money is to take that input and get a report out of it.
And then after we do the report, how do we use that information to, I guess, help the kids, I guess, right?
Yeah, we're going to focus on youth. I think it'll really depend on what comes out of it. If, let's say, for example, they do go the education route, then I think we would take the report to the Board of Ed and the local colleges and say, like, you know, here's what we came up with based on our community feedback, and how can we partner with you to instill some of these next steps. But maybe they'll come up with, I mean, this is why there's so many stakeholders, so they can give us a lot of different feedback, and I guess depending on what they give us and what ideas they have is what the next steps will be based on.
Just, so if youth are the focus, according to the paperwork, Soraya and the Division of Office of Diversity and Inclusion
Yep.
is spearheading the outreach on this?
Yes.
Is that- So how is that, why that office as opposed to?
Well, we selected the Office of Diversity and Inclusion because we thought it would be really important to keep a lens towards equity on this. And we felt that if any other office spearheaded this, it might be skewed. And we thought we really wanted to make it clear that we wanted to represent all of Jersey City's youth. So we really wanted Soraya's team to participate in that outreach for that.
Just if we established a new Department of Recreation and Youth Development.
They're going to be there too. But the time that we applied for this, they hadn't had a name change. Yeah, they weren't, yes.
Okay. Council. And your last item?
The last item is the Park Mobile contract amendment. This is, sorry, I have written down 19-805.
10.2.
10.2, thanks. This one is to amend the Park Mobile contract to allow for permits to be issued through the Park Mobile system so that people can also have the option, in addition to the current way that you can get a permit, another option would be to get it from the online system.
And does it change the fee structure for anyone applying via Park Mobile or renewing their?
No.
And which permits are we talking about?
I'm sure it's in the contract, but I didn't think to pull that out before we...
Like residential parking permits?
Yeah, they're residential parking permits. They're, Brian, do you know which permits? Yeah, which permits are these?
This is going to be for, so the initial Park Mobile contract did not include the zone parking permits. So any of those zone permits that you have to go to Parking Authority and stick the sticker in the window. This is going to allow us to do that all through the app. That means that you can sign up any vehicle on the app, and it ties it to your license plate instead of having to put a sticker in the window. So there's no more messing around. And it automatically sends you notices to renew. All the payments are through the app. But also the interesting piece is the visitor permits. So if you have visitors coming to town, instead of having to literally go physically pick up a piece of paper from this one office, hoping it's open, you can do it all on the phone that way. So unfortunately, it was not included in the original contract. It was a miscommunication on our end, their end, I guess. And it's a separate sales team at Park Mobile too. Not every city that they contract with does this sort of thing, just because not every city has permits like this.
So if they're getting their permit, then they renew it via the app.
Yes.
And then their sticker or whatever comes with the mail?
No sticker.
No stickers.
No sticker. It's just your license plate.
Just your license plate.
Yeah. So if you change cars, if you have more than one car, there's no having to get another sticker or move it or change things. It's just all in the app. It's all done. If you don't have a cell phone, you can always still call. Park Mobile has a number you can call. You can also go to Division of Parking Enforcement, and they can put it into the Park Mobile system for you. But either way, it'll be available through the app.
And then do our parking enforcement officers then have the technology in place to?
We are on a separate parallel track, working on procuring license plate readers for the parking enforcement vehicles, which would allow them to just drive down the streets and know it reads license plates, so it would tell us what vehicle should be there and shouldn't be there.
Until then, what? How do they know that
it's going to take, both tracks are going to take a few months. This is not going to be set up like next week. We have to do a lot of finding out where the zones are and making sure the timing and the process is right. It's going to take us a while to get through this. So hopefully both will start at the same time. We will update the council on both timelines, but hopefully in a few months or so.
And so that's going to be a separate, sorry.
Yeah.
That's a separate contract?
We're going to be coming, yeah. There's going to be a separate, there are a couple of state contract vendors that work with Park Mobile directly, the license plate reader hardware. So we know that it's going to work out of the box with exactly what we use. And it feeds off, so the Park Mobile system generates a list of license plates. It sends it right to the readers. The readers automatically paying if a license plate shouldn't be there, and then it stops, the vehicle will then stop and then write a ticket or whatever.
Will that be the same kind of reader that the police use for like registration?
Yeah, it's the same technology. There are multiple options of what, we'll talk about this when we come back to council for that, but there are multiple reasons why you'd want to read license plates, outstanding warrants, a lot of different types of police issues as well. So yeah, and it's all the same technology, yeah.
But to follow up on Councilman Robbins' point.
Yeah.
So if parking enforcement officers will use this new technology.
Yeah.
Then police officers have technology as well that they currently use to determine if somebody's got expired registration. I mean, are we looking at compatibility issues there in terms of can police then use this to also look for people who have expired permits and so forth?
Yes, they can. Yeah, both work. But we don't want our police officers stopping to write parking tickets. So even though they could theoretically see that while they're patrolling, we won't have them do that. The enforcement piece of it is done through the app as well. There's a different back-end system that our parking enforcement agents would have. They are all getting phones. If they don't have them already, they will be getting them soon. So they're going to be using the phone to do that enforcement, plus watts, plus a lot of the other things that they do on the phone. So.
I know you said you guys have an exact time. Is there a range we communicate to the public?
I will, let me talk to the
6
vendor.
months, 9 months, 3 months.
I don't want to say right
12
now.
months.
Yeah, like between 1 and 12 months. Yeah,
1 to 12.
let me get back to you. Let me check with Park Mobile on that.
That time I'll have to get 2 or 3 kids.
That was a great answer, though.
Just want to be realistic. How things work in city government, you never know. So, I'll get back to the council on that for sure.
And I don't know if I want to open this can of worms, but I'll do it anyway.
Great. Oh, great.
Well, you've talked in the past about food truck permits.
Yeah.
Will this be applicable in this regard as well, or are we looking at?
Pass?
Pass. Great. Actually,
So
I want to take the pass.
I will say that.
Going to entertain that.
There is an existing ability within Park Mobile to manage the food truck parking zones.
Yep.
We're trying to do that now. In this zone permit system, yes, there's an even easier way to do it as well down the road. So yes, this will help with that.
So this could encompass that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Council members, anything else? Thank you, Mel. Unrelated to you, Mel, just for John Mercer.
Yeah.
And so when you look at online, it says like the attachment sections, it says Park Mobile 1, Park Mobile 2, Park Mobile 3.
Oh, yeah, what is that?
So what are those documents? So like, one is the service agreement.
Okay.
Number 2, I believe, was, I just lost it.
This was John Metro that put this one together, actually.
It might be like standard documents, like business registration certificates, stuff like that.
That's what it looks like.
Right, so I'm just wondering if we can't have.
Label them better.
Label them.
Yep.
Or even have just whoever's designed this for us to say standard spots for like business registration certificates, so that people can just know when they click on that that's what it is. And,
Yep. Yeah. I will work on that.
Okay, thank you, Mel.
Thanks.
Okay, before we move to the top,
Thanks for coming.
just some housekeeping I forgot to take care of at the top of the meeting. So I hadn't heard from anyone about the caucus meeting, so I'm gonna issue an official memo, and then for probably the next council meeting, work with the city clerk to change that caucus to daytime meetings starting at 10 a.m. Unless there are objections, let me know now, okay?
Would this be to go into effect for the 24th?
No, for probably November, probably starting in the meeting in November, put something on the agenda to change the meetings for the remainder of the year.
Resolution.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Yeah, the only issue that I just realized as I was sitting here is, so on the 11th meeting, I don't want us to stop us from doing a read, that's a holiday, we moved it to Tuesdays, and I can meet Mondays during the days, but I teach Tuesdays during the days. So, I don't know, maybe we still do it and I'll watch it on the notes. I don't know what the right answer is. Because like on Mondays I'm free, but not on Tuesdays. But Tuesdays are huge. So. They do. They do.
It would be difficult for me to do.
On Tuesday, the 11th?
All mornings, it'll be difficult.
all mornings?
Yeah, it'll be
Okay, I mean, look,
difficult, but, you know,
I don't want to, like I said, we want everybody to be there, I think, right? So if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work.
Speak up over peace.
I mean, I would love to do mornings. I think it would free up a lot of time for staff and for us.
You start with half the
But
meetings.
maybe, I don't know how late in the afternoon we would start up, but
Daily, so one end of the day or.
What's that?
I don't know how late we could start. Figure it out.
You want to talk offline, Danny, about it? Councilman,
yeah, what was that?
can we talk offline about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd rather go.
just figure it out what works. If there's something that works, yeah, like, maybe that works. The second thing was, I think Talita has, we talked to some of you and your aides as well, and seeing if we can get Surface Pros for the council aides as well.
Yes.
Can they help us?
The
Surface
tablets.
Pros.
Tablets. Yeah, so we've had a couple requests for this. We'll do one per each council person, just because, for now, just because they're expensive, and the aides sort of, some of you may have multiple aides or just one, and so we'll just start with one, if that's okay. But we can do that. So just email me a request if you want one for your aide, and we'll go from there, just so we have it in writing somewhere.
I like paper.
Danny and Rich gave this back already, right? Or sold them. It's like an age limit on these things.
Sorry.
It's hard. I haven't seen paper in 3 weeks, 3 months. I love this thing.
Hey, he's watching cartoons all the time.
All right. We got ourselves at a relatively decent hour here. Let's see if we can't close this up. No, let me just, one other housekeeping item. So the council aides, when we passed the ordinance adjusting their salaries as well, we talked initially about making it retroactive to the date of the state legislation getting passed. I don't think that's been enacted as to.
I think we just need a status form to go through.
I didn't do it for the first time. I don't know what to talk about. I don't have access to have the aides.
Really? Wait, who does status forms for hiring for?
I have more American cases than I did in a year.
Yeah. So you can just do a new status form for everyone.
They knew it, but
Yeah.
they didn't do it when they did.
That's fine.
Too, so I didn't know.
Just do a new one. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
You'll work with it.
Yeah.
Great.
That's fine.
I was confused.
Okay.
More housekeeping, I guess. We accidentally put on items 4.2 and 4.3, the second readings, but we are not keep putting those on. Those are the two from James.
Yeah.
So,
One more time.
We didn't accidentally.
so they
Just checking before the agenda.
I didn't check in before the agenda, and then it turns out he didn't want them on yet.
What's that?
We can.
We can just carry over.
I just want to know, I was directed at the meeting.
Yes, he was. Okay.
I missed it.
Do we have to do a council vote on that?
Okay, folks, you're saying 4.2 and 4.3 will carry over.
Yeah, we're just keeping it. It's like
4.2 and 4.3 are carrying over.
And there's another, so with the digital system, when things are added late between when the agenda goes out and right now, I just want to make sure everyone's getting them, because we're printing out copies of new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 10.26 was added after the agenda went out. So
What's
I
that?
don't, 10.26.
It's online.
It's online, right? It's online, but I don't know if it's in the packets that you got last week. So I just wanted to make sure that things like that are not getting missed.
Just make sure we are.
Agenda should go.
As long as everyone's looking online, you'll have the most up-to-date version, and any edits are all there. So just don't worry about it if you're using the online version.
So I guess the recommendation is to check in right before the meeting to see if there's anything.
There is an option that we can do, and I don't know if everyone's getting updates, but we can send an email out every time there's a change or an update, if you want.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's been activated, but I'll make sure it is. Okay.
Can there be kind of a summary email that might go out that says these are the changes since publication?
Let me look into that.
Maybe list all of them in one back.
Okay, from the top, Robert.
From the top.
Okay. The only first reading ordinance we didn't do, 3.8 was withdrawn. And we have to talk about 3.10, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 53, Personnel 53-11 of the Municipal Code.
Which one? 310.
310. 19,148.
I know you had a couple questions.
Right.
So I'm gonna get you the list of all the judges and everyone, I'll send it all council, every person that this applies to.
Okay.
We'll get that list, it's coming soon. And also, there was a question about the timeline on the council salaries.
Correct.
Just to clarify, so this right now says that council salaries change immediately. And then I think in 2020.
21 and then 22. So I wanted 2020
okay.
and 21.
Okay.
Now the adjustments, I guess, the sliding scales. Like who determines that
What do you mean?
for directors?
Oh,
It's
so.
like, you know, from 120 to 180 or 160 to 215. Like who determines that?
Right.
Will that come back in front of the city council, or is that up to, I guess, the administration?
It's based on performance reviews, and we're trying to shift towards a performance review based system that is.
So what do they start at the bottom and then?
They start where they're at now.
Well,
That's why I
so
wanted to list.
in the ordinance right now, it describes language on how much you can go up. So I think it's in the first year, it's 15% or something like
10 or
that,
15.
whatever it is.
I read it.
Up to 10 and up
Up to, right.
Up to 15,
We are,
right?
for the first year.
for the first year,
It's 10, right.
yeah, and we are gonna do performance reviews again with every department director in the fall. We're doing them either way at this point, and it would be based on that. So if they do well, then they're gonna probably be closer to the top end of that maximum, and if not, then it'll be less than that.
And okay, when we have our budget hearing, then we will know what exactly how they're supposed to perform. Should we
Yes.
have that in our
Yes.
package based on?
Yes.
So we'll have something to go by. on
We could,
that.
yeah, we will share the, sort of like the rubric as how we're
Right.
judging everybody and evaluating, yes.
Okay.
Keep this because this is a joke.
And, because I know it's on performance, but then how can you rate them based on how they deal with their staff? The only reason why I'm saying that, because I get a lot of complaints about how they deal with their staff.
Yeah, so we hope that all of those complaints make it up to HR, and also compliments. I think we get both. So all of that needs to be documented through HR. So if you're hearing things about any staff member, and this goes for everyone on the council, please just pass along to HR and they will deal with it accordingly. But then that's all in their file, and then we take that all holistically and include it.
Okay, so so if that's going to be in their file, then when it comes to the budget hearing, will there be something that we'll know that they have this issue with their staff too? I mean, they call us, but, you know,
We
we want to
wouldn't-
make sure we can.
we wouldn't necessarily-
I know we
yeah.
can't get into it because it's personnel issue. but
Yeah.
Is there some type of mechanism for us to know as a council that they are really a problem, even with their staff? I mean, a person can work well, but then they can't deal with people.
Yeah,
That's another issue.
we wouldn't get into the HR issues, as you said, in the budget hearings, but you will probably notice by the salary increase would be an indicator of if they got a good review or not, basically. So you would know. But it's hard for us to talk about if like
Right.
people are sending
Right.
negative feedback about their manager.
Right. It's gonna be a way.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what,
it's a job, but when it comes to managing people, everybody can't do that.
We can talk about it with Mark offline. I think that might.
We could talk, okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right,
yeah.
they can.
Brian, the salaries that are there now, right, that are crossed out, those are,
The old salaries.
so that's what each person is currently getting?
That is where the salaries were set initially, before COLA increases had kicked in.
So that's not their current salary, right? Because this is different from our budget.
Right. So yeah, so the last time salaries were adjusted was 15 years
Years
ago,
ago.
2005.
June 2004.
Right, since then we have.
So,
based on that, currently, under the current structure, if, let me use somebody else here. If the,
They're all over it, right?
I don't want to upset you.
Do HR.
If the HR director were hired today,
Yeah,
then that would be, under the current structure, 114, is that 114? I can't.
they would get
124,
124, 194.
No, I'm not talking about under the new.
Yes, but today, so yeah, it's a sort of weird wording of the ordinance, but that was 2005, and now they would get hired at 124, 194.
Even without Hassanus?
Without that. That's why it's the bottom of the range as well.
That's the bottom range. That's what
Yeah.
we're
So the bottom range represents
Where they are now.
the salaries today,
Yes,
if somebody new were hired, is that what you're saying?
yes, technically, without this ordinance.
As opposed to where somebody might be right now today. That's what I'm trying to say. So what I'm asking is, could I get a listing of each position, if somebody new were hired today, what that salary would be set at?
Yes.
Then what their salary is in column B that says what that person is, who occupies the position is getting paid today, and then obviously then the range, right? So the third column would be the range.
But let me ask you something, based on, okay, if a person get hired, it has to be based on their qualification and experience too.
Yes.
So how can you, I'm just trying to figure out how can you get that, if they were hired today? Because it's based on if they have to bring to the table.
That's the problem with the ordinance now, is that it says this is the number no matter what. No matter if you've been doing this for 30 years, no matter if, you've done it for 1 year, this is the number, that's it. So that's why there's a range in there as well. It allows us to say this person has done this,
Right.
has more experience, has different
Different,
qualifications.
right.
We can give them
see
it,
that.
right. Yeah, but for the most part, and I can send this to you, the number, the salary number for anyone hired today with 0 years in the system is 124, 194, as you see in the bottom of the range here.
Okay.
So I'm just asking if I can get 3 columns, new hire today, what the current salary is for whoever it is that's occupying it currently.
Yep.
With their, and then the third column being the range itself. And then if I could see that, that'd be great, as far as directors go.
Okay.
Actually, for everyone that's on this list, right? So,
Yeah, sure, we can do that. It's for, again, for the most part, hired today and current salary is the beginning of the range, but there are some changes, and we'll clarify that.
and then my second, anyone else have questions? I
Go ahead.
have other comments. So so going back to what Councilman Robinson said, so if you were to hire someone today, in a new position, in one of these positions new, that was subject to council approval,
Yes,
then the salary itself, you could set it at the range,
yes.
and then is that done without council approval, that range, or is that done with council approval, that range?
The council would approve the range, within the range.
Approve the salary within the range?
No, so the question, you're talking about if
if
someone were hired today, October 7th.
So going back to the Department of HR, right, so
Okay.
using that same example.
Okay.
Right. So if somebody was new was hired today, and the minimum is 124 and 194, and you say, based on your experience, I want to give you 150, right? That appointment comes before the council, and say hypothetically, we approve the appointment itself, but the salary of 150 is then automatic based on what you say, or the council has to approve that 150?
If this ordinance goes through.
Which one? If this ordinance
If
goes
this goes through.
Okay, that's,
Correct. If the ordinance is passed, what would be the outcome of that? Like you say, you want the salary to be 150, you say.
Yeah,
Then,
we'll get back to you on that.
Well, it has to come back to the council, that's all we want to know.
right, I mean,
It wouldn't come back separately.
it would not come back as a separate event.
When you hire them, we would know their salary.
Yes,
The starting
we would
salary.
know it, but would we be approving it? Is my point, is my question.
I guess if we vote, would we be approving the salary based on what's in front of us? You couldn't come back and switch it.
well,
We don't vote.
but either way though, we wouldn't be changing the salary arbitrarily
Right.
during the course. We're moving the whole city towards a annual salary adjustment schedule, not just like whenever we want, we're changing salary, based on performance reviews. So even if it's at 150 or whatever it is, in the approval, we wouldn't then, in a week, change it to 170 or 190 or whatever. It would be that until the next salary adjustment cycle.
I'm saying with that initial appointment of that director, at 150, I mean hypothetically, we say,
Oh,
you're setting it at, you're appointing someone at 150, but we say, well,
You want
some people
them
say, oh, maybe that person should be at 140 or something like, we don't think it's deserving, but we're saying, okay, move forward with the appointment, but like not necessarily not in agreement on the salary, hypothetically, right? So if the council had that,
Well, it would be, so the council would give the administration the authority to put the salary in that range somewhere, and we would say it's, 150, and you would say yes or no to the appointment and all the terms of the appointment.
So we would have to still say.
And look, if I think we can have those conversations. If you think that it's not an appropriate salary for this person, we can talk about it, but it wouldn't be necessarily, I don't think, something that we would amend and go like that about.
so then my next question after that is, if that person is appointed and then has in year 2, you're looking to do a performance review.
Yeah.
And look to do a 15% increase, or somewhere between 0 to 15%, right?
Yeah, it would. So the only time it goes up to 15, the highest amount is in this first year.
First year.
Right. If you're hired and you're a first-year employee, it only goes up to, I think it was 10%.
10%,
max.
yeah, max.
Yeah, right.
If you're a new hire.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's only for current.
It's only for current.
That
Yes.
goes to
Just to
15%.
get them a little bit faster up to
Right.
right ranges. Yeah.
So let's take them one at a time. So if there's a current employee in year 1, you say you want to increase it to 15%.
Yeah.
Is that increase subject to council approval?
No.
Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
And then if you're going to a new appointment and then you're looking to approve an increase of say 10% in the second year after their first year term, or somewhere between 0 to 10%, then is that subject to council approval?
No, it's the same thing.
It's a function of human resources and the business administrator doing performance evaluations. However, the salaries must remain within the range that's established and fixed by the council.
So it's my understanding, Councilman, that it's the council's authority to fix salaries. I am not, first, I don't know, I was going to ask the law department about the legality of salary ranges, but putting that aside, I would be open to salary ranges, but I don't want to forego our authority to be able to approve salaries. So
we have to approve them now, right?
You approve the ranges now,
Okay.
and we want to do performance-based salary adjustments. That's really important to us. I think it's important to any organization that wants to, incentivize good talent to keep doing what they're doing. So, for it to go to council and have it be a political issue or based on other things that aren't related to the day-to-day operation of the city, I think, that's a challenge for having unbiased performance reviews.
Isn't it still political though?
yeah,
I mean, performance.
It goes, right? We get to vote on it, but.
Well, but look, I mean, the performance reviews are based on the administration's operations of the cities and what they're doing day to day, and we're trying to keep everything else out of it.
The performance reviews will be what, 6 months, yearly?
We're going to do annual full reviews and 6 months sort of check-ins. But we'll take feedback. We take feedback now from everybody.
Well, the council concern is really giving up that right to know. That's what it is. We won't
Sure.
know it anymore. That's what their concern is. So there's no way that y'all can put it in there like it has to come back to us in some way or another. It does now though, right?
I mean, it only does simply because the number, it's a fixed term number.
Yeah, okay,
So as it stands now, you know what someone's
Right.
salary is because
It's fixed.
it's specific in the ordinance.
So now if we do a range, there's no way we can incorporate that language in there because it's a range?
We
Because
could,
now it's fixed, we will know, because it's fixed based on that, right? And they
Yes.
would have to come to, like when they hired, they come to us, we vote or whatever, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now if we do a range, and let's say they work a year, and then they get a 10% raise, that wouldn't have to come back to us to vote. You just would do it over. So now the council's concern is that they want to know every time that happens, because believe it or not, the council get complaints about directors. We just don't want to let go of that.
We can share that information for sure at the end of the year.
Yeah, you could share it, but we can't vote on it. It's a difference. I mean, it is.
Well, but I think it goes back to just making sure that the council is continuously providing us feedback that you hear from everybody about everybody.
So Brian, is there a percentage cap of how much per year you're going to raise the salary?
Yeah, the maximum is 10%. In the first year, it's 15% maximum based on performance reviews. We haven't finalized the ranges within that range of like if you do well in your performance review, it's 8 to 10. If you do not great, those levels. We haven't done that yet, but yeah, that's it.
Okay, Michael, so you can get out of here.
Councilman Solomon?
Yeah, I would concur with my colleagues who have concerns about these large ranges. I understand where you're coming from, Brian, in terms of that perspective, but I think as a council, being able to assess the performance from our own perspective on the different administrators is important. Whether there's some compromise that you can make raises up to 3 or 4% each year without coming to the council, and then beyond that, go to the council. I think maybe there's something in that range that's doable. The other thing is I am also concerned about the ranges for positions that I think are by statute designed to be like tenure and protection. So clerk, tax assessor, I don't know about tax collector, but they have obviously not just the design is for them to be as apolitical as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So I am concerned about giving those a really big range. I think those probably should all stay fixed, and maybe there's a much smaller range for the other folks. Those are some thoughts on how you can maybe square circle on that front. So.
Okay.
What can you do?
So what's the verdict on this?
What can you do?
Well, no, I think a lot of the complications come from the fact that you have purely administrative functions, which are the review and evaluation of personnel, which is spelled out in the ordinance and set and granted through the Faulkner Act and through the law to the administration, to the business administrator and to the human resources office. So the danger I could foresee as one risk I could see as a legal matter would be if you have a glowing evaluation to a director who, for whatever reason, has their salary increase or a salary increase vetoed, and then I would say an average evaluation for a director whose salary increase would be approved. You create an incongruity there. There's some potential exposure there. So I think that would be a concern that I would see. I think, if you leave the evaluation of personnel and the setting of the salaries within a range to the administration, you avoid a lot of it. You entirely avoid that.
But they feel like it could be political because then what will happen if they feel like you gave the example, okay, a director who was performing well, okay, and he didn't get the raise. Why? Maybe because somebody in administration don't like him. It's the same. It's the same. We deal with this. That's why we're really slow with this. We're dealing with this now. Some directors feel like they were paid correct and some do not. The problem with the city is even when we came in, all right, the wages is way off. Mm-hmm. Now let's don't even go into like women and minorities with these salaries because they are low. I done looked at them and everything. So we just want to make sure that whatever happens, the council still have a voice in it because remember, these still is people that are our constituents too. That's all. I think it's a fair thing. I do. I don't think it's not. You have your job to do. We have our job to do. And when it comes to government, government must have a balance. And at this point, council does bring balance. It helps, just like you guys bring balance on certain things. We both bring balance. That's why we need the separate votes for that reason.
I understand.
Yeah.
Councilwoman, but there's something to be said between
the ranges, and when someone gets paid, when they get hired, and those performance reviews.
Right.
There's always gonna be politics in it. but
Correct.
That's where HR comes in, because it is purely an administrative function. And if the council is involved in reviews, how does that work? Do you review each director and have some input on what they do? Or is it HR and your input going through HR? There's a difference because you're adding another layer of politics when you put the council in, and rightfully so, it is a division. The Faulkner Act is different when you're saying your ordinance says that your range is from this to this, or that your range is, that you have, let's say even it's 150.
Right.
Even if you hire the person at 150, you have full say over that, or
Right.
you have review power over that.
Correct.
The council really doesn't have review power over that person's performance. That performance is an administrative and personnel issue. If they have a problem, if there is some problem, whether you're a woman and you're not getting paid equally, or minority, or anything else, or your boss just doesn't like you, you go to personnel. That's a personal administrative function. That's not a council function.
Yeah, I understand, but,
Can I offer
being
And
as
it could
political.
become a Faulkner issue, because if I'm a director.
I can see a
and-
Faulkner issue there.
There is definitely a Faulkner issue.
So let me offer, so that performance evaluation function obviously resides with the mayor as the executive. So what if that salary was set at 150, and then in year 2, and then so the council approves that, and with that salary set at that number, and then in year 2, there's a recommendation by the mayor based on a performance review, or the business administrator and the mayor, to say, we're increasing this to 165. You conduct that, that's like, you conduct your performance review, you present that to the council, and say, and however the law is written to make that so, is to say, you present the council, you make the case as to say, this is the reason why we think this is the justifiable increase to 165, it's a 10% increase, and,
That's just delaying what you want to do earlier on. It's still giving the council the ultimate power of that performance review. You really can't get around that. Setting the range at the beginning is different, and if you're doing that, even setting
we're
the
saying,
range.
we're approving the salary, not the performance review, like, so
You
if
are,
you.
because it's based on the performance. That's really just saying, calling it something it's not. Because if the administration says, this person did a great job and we want to increase it to 160, you have to tell us whether we can do that or not. It's no different than just the administration saying, we're going to do this, and hey, by the way, we did this based on this. You can get information, but you're still having ultimate power over that person's performance review.
If the
I
council.
disagree, but I would say this, is that the council currently, under our powers under the Faulkner Act, have the ability to establish, to fix the salaries.
But that's a different
granted
issue,
to us.
fixing the salaries and doing performance
I
reviews.
know, but I'm saying, so why would we abdicate our authority to fix salaries? At the end of the day, then no one in the city has any reason to really be motivated by making sure that the council, as a legislative body, has any authority that we've basically given away our power, essentially, to establish salaries.
Setting the salary, whether you decide that you want to say the salary will be, let's say you say the salary is 150, that's what you have the power to do. The administration has the power to say this person gets a raise, they don't, and this is what it's going to be.
Correct.
Now, the other side of that is you're going to fix the range between 150 and 200. The reason that that's good is it goes back to who you're going to get. You can't get, if you want a person who has 20 years experience to be your director of DPW, you can't pay them the same thing that you could if they had 5 years. You're not going to be able to attract. So if you find someone that you think has potential and can do it at 5 years and you want to pay them 150, that's fine. But if you decide right now we need somebody who has 20 years experience, you're not going to get them at the same price range. So if you have a range, ultimately, it gives you flexibility to hire people of different experience levels. And that's what the range goes to. But once again, whether you have a range or a fixed salary, that is a separate and distinct function from how that person's evaluated and how they get raises.
I think it's also.
So that first one is on us, right?
The first one when they
salary
come,
would be
yeah, we
on
will
the-
still see.
Right, and then everything
then,
after that would be.
It's performance.
And I think we should.
You said yes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
We should also, what we can do is we can share with you the performance review process, the forms and everything to make sure that you're comfortable with what is being measured and evaluated, just to make sure that it's as fair as possible. we're not trying to do any of that in secret. It's all gonna be a public process, but we wanna take a lot of the, complaint-driven evaluations out of the process. So just because somebody keeps complaining to a council person doesn't mean that person shouldn't get a raise necessarily. It's based on their overall work product. That's one piece of it. A lot of complaints from employees, a lot of compliments from the public. I mean, those are all things we want to hear as well.
Yeah, well.
Okay, do you want to move on?
I mean, moving on in terms of what, it's
I mean, how do y'all
moving
feel
forward
about
the way
it?
it is.
I mean, I understand it. I got it. How do y'all feel? I'm good with it since I understand it. How do y'all feel about it? Because we had the first initial goal, and I understand the performance review, and I know that it's not our responsibility based on what the lawyer's done explained to me. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just to make sure this is all documented and said.
There's one thing here that should be, we're gonna be the largest city, we are probably the largest city for the last 15 years.
Okay.
The mayor should also be included here, no matter who he is. The mayor
It's in there.
of this city, of this size.
there.
It's in
should
there.
make
It's in there.
2.5 to 3 times the size of the salary that
my
our city is
God.
paying. I'm
Yeah.
told about going back over the years, this has been an
Yeah.
argument,
Yeah.
it's a shame, this city's been paying the
Okay.
mayors for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Y'all can talk, but I think the rest of us is pretty good with it.
Okay.
Sure, I mean, I still have the concerns around particularly the positions that are supposed to be apolitical, and then allowing performance review, I think, interjects.
All this is all political. I don't
Well, that's-
know. I don't care how we keep slicing and
No, I
dicing this.
understand.
Even on the administrative side, it will become political, depend on it. I just see it in the city. There's no way we're gonna control that. We just gotta figure out when we get this budget, how we can kind of
Sure.
tighten it up.
So, I mean, I have that concern. I would also think if we're gonna adjust salaries, we should adjust in anticipation of the city clearing the 270K threshold after the next census.
Okay.
So that would put us in York's category for council aides. And we obviously we set new salaries for council aides, but I think it might make sense to set a couple of different rules in the event that we advance beyond the 270K threshold, which would happen before the end of
2020.
I think the census would be 2020, we
Yeah.
certified in 2021.
Yeah, so it happened in this term,
Right.
basically. So, or prior to the next election, so it would affect all of us. So that's another thing I think we should look at for this ordinance as well. And then, I mean, I think there's the question of, if we're spending this money, which, I understand positive arguments around full-time staff, but it's thinking about where we can potentially have an offset. So, if we're going to the taxpayers and saying, hey, we think this is a good investment of your money for, I think there are very logical reasons, I think we should also be able to maybe say to them, here's the offset that we've also found, because it's not just about spending money, it's about spending it effectively. Those are some of my thoughts on it.
So if it's moving forward in this manner, then I would suggest that the basis of performance evaluation prior to the next year of that person, I'm not sure, when did this come up? Are they different depending on their hiring period? Is that how it's, or hiring date, I should say,
The
rather?
evaluations.
Yeah.
We're gonna do them all, like a June or July summer check-in evaluation and a
So
December.
all at the same time?
Yeah. No matter when you're hired, you're gonna be getting these evaluations at the same time of year.
Is that
salary
fixed in here?
adjustments.
Is that written in here?
That's not written in there. There's also a Faulkner Act concern about putting too much of that in this ordinance, because the council can't necessarily tell the administration how to perform all the performance review piece of it, but yeah, that's gonna be our policy that we plan to implement.
And I think I asked it, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about making it clear at the outset, like at the beginning of any year, as to what the performance metrics or
Yeah.
the basis of an evaluation is? Like,
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. So we'll share with the council what the metrics are gonna
I'm
be.
saying putting that in ordinance to require that, to make it transparent and clear, so that the council knows in advance what that is, as well as the public, as to how directors are being evaluated on their performance.
So, yeah, again, possibly a Faulkner Act issue, putting all that in there, but we can definitely share it in a separate memo to just
Not
let
only
people.
that, but it can change, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Personnel issues come up, or
Right.
you get personnel, you want to include different metrics, and then they're not all the same for everybody. You have some general categories that you go.
I'm saying publishing individualized metrics for every person at the start. So if it starts July 1st, if their evaluation cycle goes from July 1st to June 30th, then prior to July 1st, for that person saying, these are your metrics, or whatever the case might be, and this is how you're being evaluated, so that we know at the start of the year, like, what they're being evaluated, and then at the end of the year, June 30th, whether they've achieved those metrics or any of those goals, and
Well, I don't know that you would know if they achieved them or not, because that's really, I mean, there's personnel issues in there on what a supervisor writes, or whoever it is that's looking at it, whoever's putting input. Some of that might be confidential. It really becomes a can of worms to start putting in what metrics are. Like I said, the metrics themselves can be changed by the personnel department, and it really is, they're personnel issues.
the basis here was to
It's a little bit touchy.
evaluate performance and to hold people accountable and be able to reward. This is based on some private kind of sector approaches to this whole thing, and that's kind of standard kind of stuff as well, I think, to make that stuff.
We'll share what the metrics are going to be, but we're not going to share the results necessarily of like how well or not well directors may or may not have done.
Because that's personnel.
You don't have to share with the general public, but I think it's the councils that are privy to knowing that. No, I mean,
I don't know. I think that's something you have to see, talk to personnel about. There's a lot of different issues wrapped up in there.
It depends on the issue. I know it depends on the issue, because, right, it depends on issues, I know that.
There's possibly part of it we can share. I'll check with HR about that.
To see exactly what you
yeah.
can share. Whatever you can share, we want to know.
Yeah, okay.
Because I know each case is different, and
Yeah.
and I know it could be personal, very personal. Okay.
the last thing I'd point out is on the judges. I would ask that fall more in line with where Newark's numbers are. This falls short of that.
I thought this was requested, the number was requested by you and Rich for the
Now
judges.
it's slightly higher. I don't recall the exact number. What's that?
With the judges.
For the
what's
judges.
this number?
I thought that number came from you guys, I'm sorry. What number do you want to put?
I'll have to go back to that, but it was.
They've been waiting a long time, the judges.
The judges were, the regular municipal court was around 120 and the chief judge was around 130, and I remember.
Okay, all right, if you just want to send me those numbers, okay.
Okay.
Michael's not here, so we can.
Councilman Robbins.
Just this last question. So we're voting on this. Any director automatically goes to the bottom number. Is that
No,
correct?
no one's salaries change immediately from this, just because, everyone's already within the range. That's why the range is so wide, because everyone will start wherever they are in the range no matter what.
They're right in the middle.
No one gets a raise or a decrease in salary just because this
I
goes
wanted to
through.
see. And the year, what about the year? 2001?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. Changed all the years.
So I also asked that one thing, when you make the appointments, of any new appointments, that they clearly indicate what the evaluation period is.
Yeah, it's going to be,
I think that's going to be included, right?
Yes. It'll be the same for everybody, but if you get hired, let's say in November, you're only going to get 1 month of evaluation your first year, and then it starts again for the next year. But we didn't do calendar year.
And then it does have to be included in the ordinance, but I'd ask that the administration provide what the evaluation period will be for current sitting
Directors.
members, directors. Okay. Council members, anyone else?
I apologize, I have to leave now for the community meeting, but I just wanted to say, second reading, so then we're closed. So for one, we have meetings with planning and community groups this week, so that's the idea would be to delay another 2 weeks and see how those meetings go.
4.2 and 4.3.
This is 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. I think those can actually push Robert all the way to the, I'll give you a different date, but all the way to November, because the committee has 3 more meetings that we've scheduled.
Okay.
I'll let you know. And then,
So we're just gonna make motions to
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
And
And
four?
then 4, I think the same, I don't know, Councilwoman, how you feel about
Yeah,
4,
the
but
same.
I think, there's still more information that we're requesting, and so.
So pushing it to when on all of these?
So 4.1 and 4.4, I would say 2 weeks, and then 4.2, 4.3 would be.
Later.
Like, probably Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Because we have 3 meetings, so we're gonna schedule now, we have to send the email out today,
Okay.
so, and have an agenda going forward, so. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, any other questions on second reading ordinances, anyone? Nope. Hearing none, let's keep moving.
Resolution 10.1 is receiving grants and appropriating them. We did 2, 3, and 4. 5 is authorizing the VA to execute a discharge of mortgage at 158 Fulton. 10.6, likewise at 301 Forest Street. 10.7, we spoke about earlier. 10.8, we're rejecting all bids received by the City of Jersey City on August 1. The Community Emergency Response Team National Incident Management System, training for the Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. We did 9 and 10. 11, we did. 12 is authorizing the award of a contract to CompSci Corporation, FMLA Source Incorporated for the administration and information services of Family and Medical Leave, FMLA, and Americans with Disabilities Act.
Can I just ask on that? So, is this the FMLA Act? This is the...
This is a current function that we do in-house. A staff member does this, FMLA and ADA. We are outsourcing it to actually be a little more efficient with our staff. So we can outsource it for less than the cost of an employee and have that employee the existing employee do other stuff. This is the first time we've ever done this. We're giving it a shot. If the work product is the same, it's half the cost of an employee, so it'll be a good thing for us.
And the bid itself was
It was an RFP, I believe.
RFP, were there other...
I can't remember, my computer just died. I don't remember how many responses there were for this.
5 FMLA ADA proposals? Yeah, there were 5.
5, okay.
So the basis of this decision?
What do you mean?
How out of the 5 was it just, I'm assuming it's not low cost?
Yeah, no, the resolution should include all of that. It should be in there.
Okay.
All right. So we are on 13. That's authorizing the agreement with Morris County to allow Jersey City probationary firefighters to attend the academy.
We should have our own academy.
1014 is urging the United States Congress to enact the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act of 2019. 1015 is a resolution authorizing a tax payment overpayment refund. We did 1016. 1017 is a professional services agreement with the law firm of Corzio, Bromberg, and Newman at PC to serve as special counsel on behalf of the city in the payroll tax litigation.
I think as
I asked for
Council President, we have confirmed,
closed session.
we prepared a closed session resolution
Right.
for the 21st to discuss the status of
2 weeks from today.
Yes.
But moving forward with I'm not asking to defer the resolution, so.
Otherwise, there'll be no one to tell you.
Correct. Well, I don't know about that, but
1018, a resolution authorizing a shared services agreement with the County of Hudson pursuant to the Uniform Shared Services and Consolidation Act to provide services related to the prevention of cancer. We did 10.19. 1020 is a professional services agreement with Cleary, Jacoby Alfieri, Jacobs LLC to represent police officer Eduardo Rivera in the matter of Sabrina Pagan and Maria Olivares.
did we get a memo on that?
No, this is it's a standard conflict case.
This isn't settling a suit.
I know, but what is this about? We can't talk about that.
Yeah, it's currently subject to internal review, and due to a conflict of interest, there is a party that the city is unable to represent in this litigation, and we are obligated to provide a defense for that individual pursuant to state law, and therefore outside counsel has to be retained.
So not asking to defer this one either, but could we include that as part of the closed session as a discussion, just to hear?
I mean, this is only in the complaint phase. I don't think I don't think we or the proposed outside counsel have even filed an answer on this case yet. If we don't, if we do not proceed with this contract, the individual will be unrepresented.
I'm not saying not to proceed with the contract. I'm saying, can we have a closed session just to discuss, without disclosing here, it just says that there was, this is public information, right, that purpose? That's written here?
Yes.
So it's a domestic dispute. I'd like to just hear what the, what's a dispute, what the dispute entailed and what the, I guess, the allegation is and so forth, or like the,
Complaint, if the complaint is filed, it's a public document. You can read that. Like I said,
okay.
I can forward you a copy
Yeah,
of the
send me a
complaint.
copy of the complaint then, okay?
Okay, so we didn't do 21, it's reauthorizing the order of contract of a professional services agreement to Hvac and Konevsky for issues related to the employment organizational practices, 10.22.
Robert, just very quickly, just for the record, we have prepared a closed session resolution for 1021. The
Yeah, what is that all about?
matter arising from 1021 is we can address that in closed session, Councilman.
Yeah.
But what is, you told me this is about, can we talk about it, or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because.
So I'd ask that this be deferred until after the closed session, so that we can, I'd ask for some information as well.
Okay, we will withdraw that.
Well, it's gotta be pulled.
Well, we're withdrawing.
It's being withdrawn. Okay, 1022 we did earlier, as we did 23, 24 is authorizing us to accept a grant from the United States Department of Homeland and Security through the Urban Area Security Initiative, Hvac grant program. 25 is a resolution authorizing the extension of a contract with A.R. James and Company, doing business as A.R. James Media for construction and maintenance of bus shelters with advertising space at various locations in the city. And 1026, a resolution of the council authorizing submission of the fiscal year 2020 Community Services Block Grant application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
Can we get a motion?
We have a motion by Councilperson Ridley at 7:46. Second by Councilperson Waterman. Councilperson Ridley to adjourn. No. Terry is absent. Bajano, yes. Yoon is absent. Solomon Hebalivas. Robinson. Rivera, Waterman, and Lavar. We're out of here at 7:46.
Yeah. We're gonna do a meeting with staff, and then we'll meet with council separately.
Saying, not make
Yeah, we're pushing.